So we're here. We're changing it up. We did some pretty unserious stuff, but we're back. We're actually going to mebrander a little bit more on this episode, where we're actually going to talk about brands. One of the things I do in my day to day, which you obviously know this, like cultural association, where you can like borrow equity or attach yourself to something in culture, is really powerful if you work in marketing. And so we're going to talk about brands that have the strongest cultural associations and to what that we could think of. So we kind of opened it up a little bit beyond just consumer brands. This is like a little bit more gray, just like brands in general. But yeah, so we got some stuff to talk about. We're going to avoid on the nose, like, yeah, the Bulls are Chicago or the Yankees are New York. No sports teams and the city.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
But yeah, that's the prompt. I'm going to lead it off. I'll lead it off. Or do you want to lead it off?
You
Why don't
lead
you
it
lead
off
it off?
because so before we start, the only thing that I would say is that I don't know how you're going to approach this, but I ended up in a place where the two that I think are fun to talk about, I'm gonna and actually there's a third, but all three of them are very negative. Like I'm being an asshole.
Two of my four, I would say, are kind of negative.
Okay, good. So well, all of mine are negative. I don't have a single positive one. There's no positivity here. It's all they have. These brands that I will talk about have garnered cultural associations with not good things.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Here
All
we go.
right. Well, here I'll start with the
Start with
positive
the
one. Okay.
positive
So
one.
my first one is the NFL and Sunday.
Okay. Sunday
The
night,
NFL
Sunday night football.
has not even Sunday Night Football, just the entire day is just football
I have
during the.
I have a question. I can see where you're going with this. First question I have though, and again, I am not a football fan, like at all. I don't watch football. I don't know enough about it. Do they play football on Sunday at another time, or is it just night?
My God.
They like play it all day, or is it just Sunday night football?
So the NFL, they start depending on time. So if you're East Coast time zone, 1 o'clock, 4:25, 8:25. Usually there's
They
like
start a football game at 8:25 p.m.
that's what time Sunday Night Football is on the East Coast.
Like they're in New York or Florida, and they start the game at 8:25. Aren't the games like 2 hours, 2.5 hours, like
3.5.
3.5 hours? Shit's over at midnight. Sounds awful. All right.
But so the NFL owns Sunday, and they've always played on Sunday. So the NFL was started in like 1920 in Canton, Ohio.
There you go.
Shout out.
Shout out Ohio. There you are.
You know who lives in Canton? Michael
He
Bull,
does live in Canton. I forgot about that.
home of the NFL, or founding place of the NFL. So the reason they started on Sundays, college football was on Saturdays,
Okay.
and like, well, we're never going to compete with college football, so we'll just take Sunday. Which, like, isn't that a crazy thing to think about? Like, NFL was like, there is no chance we will ever compete with college football. We'll take a different day. And now, like, the NFL's king, and it's like they do always release those like Nielsen rating reports,
Yeah.
and it's like the NFL will own like 90 of the top 100 slots, because it's like, think about that. Of the most watched live television in a calendar year, like 90 of the top 100
Are all the
NFL.
NFL. Man, that's crazy.
Pretty crazy. It's like, yeah. So anyway, so NFL owns Sunday. It is like a day more so, like most people would probably say the NFL before church, which might be number two, but it's not really a brand. But, like for Sundays,
What do you think? What do you think about when you think about Sunday? God or grown men
quarterback.
bashing their heads into each other?
You think about first, God or Tom Brady? Anyway, so that's my first one. What do you got?
All right, the NFL owns Sunday.
On Sunday.
All right, so the first one that I had when I thought about like cultural associations and like owning like a concept, you're owning Sunday, which I guess is like a more tangible thing than like a concept. But I feel like if you like think about brands, like, and I actually don't know how the right word to say here, but okay, so I have Spirit Airlines, and I feel like the cultural association that they have like come to like own is just trash. Like they've like transcended this thing where it's like they get used out of context incessantly as like a way to speak to the idea of something being terrible. Like they get like used as this like analogy or like, and it's like just this whole thing where like we as a society have culturally decided that if you want to like make fun of something for being bad, Spirit Out Airlines is a perfect foil or a perfect like one-to-one. And it's just like, and there's all the things that people hate about it, like that you can read about. It's like, oh, it's super affordable, but then you get on the plane and it feels like it's like literally gonna fall apart. Like I've flown it like one time, and it was like I flew it when I was like I wasn't making a lot of money and I just needed to fly home or something like that. And I remember like getting on the plane and just being like, when did they build this plane? Like it was like, Dan, have they ever maintenanced it ever? Like, and it's just like it's like sticky or something. I don't know. It's just like everything about it is like they've like built
Wear,
this.
wear flip flops on the plane.
Yeah. Oh, it's so crazy to me. And it's like even the lighting inside of the planes is bad. Like I remember like it feels like you're in like an interrogation room or something like that. And like and then there's the whole associate, or like everybody knows like the ticket price is really cheap, but then they nickel and dime you for every other single thing, which is again like so they're known for being like a bad experience, bad stewards, bad all of this stuff. And as a result, like they get used as like this like punching bag completely out of context. You'd be talking about food, talking about like, yeah, like a restaurant or something like that, or like buying a car or anything like that. If you're trying to like say that something is a bad version of the thing, you're like, oh, it's like the Spirit of restaurants in New York. It's the Spirit Airlines of SUVs. It's like, and people would immediately know what you meant. They'd be like, oh, it sucks. And it's just like, damn, I can't think of another brand. I mean, I'm sure I could, but I'm having trouble. And that's why this one stuck with me is like, what's another brand that you could just do that with? And everybody's like, oh, it sucks.
Yeah. Really good question.
But if somebody was ass at making croissants, you'd be like, yeah, they're like the Spirit Airlines of croissants. And you'd be like, oh, okay, so I don't want to eat that croissant.
I'm trying to think, like, this is like kind of a tough one. I feel like Kmart is sort of like,
Kmart, but Kmart doesn't exist anymore. There's only one left. They're like Blockbuster. There's like one Kmart. Oh no, and it's closing. I remember I read an article on New York Times about how the last Kmart is closing.
yeah. No, like Kmart could be close. I also think it's like, I was just trying to think about this and I couldn't come up with them right away. Can you think of another thing that you pay for that is just like an objectively terrible experience outside of the dentist? Going to the dentist, kind of terrible. You pay for it, but it's like good for you.
It's your
So,
health. You got to take, yeah, come on.
so if you like carve off health, like what's another thing where you're just like, you pay for it and it's just an awful experience?
Other than flying.
A flying Spirit Airlines. You're like paying for it. You're like, this is gonna suck.
This is gonna suck. I'm paying for it, but it's a necessary. I gotta go home for Thanksgiving or whatever it is, right? It's just like it's insane.
Yeah, Spirit the Spirit and cultural association between just like a shitty experience. That's pretty
Also,
good.
I also love
Just
that talk about the
Spirit, bad experience.
bad time. It's gonna suck. It's gonna fucking. It's gonna exactly. Also, then I also love about it that the branding, in my opinion, is also kind of ass. Like they've chosen this like shade of yellow that like looks like caution tape. And so you're just like, it's literally like, and then it's black and yellow. So it's literally like it's not a red flag, but it is like a caution tape. Like, oh, I'm going into like a hazardous environment and I'm going to have a bad experience. I might see a dead body. I don't know. It's terrible all around. And I just love that they've done this to themselves. It's just amazing. Shout out Spirit Airlines.
Way to go, Spirit. Okay, so Spirit Airlines associating with bad experience.
Yep.
I like that.
There you go.
Okay, so I have one. It's like it's not a consumer brand, but Las Vegas, the city of Las Vegas, and debauchery, like the worst shit you can do as a human.
Is that's where you go to do it?
Yeah, it's like the place you go to do it. And what's so fascinating about it is you can't just like Reno is the same, but like Reno is not sexy. It's like a way trashier version of Vegas.
Have you been to Reno? Yeah, you have.
Definitely have, because you have to go there to go to Tahoe. If you want to go to Tahoe, you got to go to Reno.
I mean, if you drive, yeah. If you drive, but yeah, no, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but like the only reason Vegas works is because it's been glamorized so hard in pop culture for so long that it's like the difference between Vegas in Ocean's 11 in Vegas when I've gone with my buddies.
Like in reality, yeah, it's gross.
Chasm is so wide.
So like the marketing and the brand that the city, you're saying that the brand that the city has built for itself has basically transcended the experience. And so
By far, it's like glamorized debauchery to this place where it's like, it's aspirational. And then when you get there, it's way worse.
Yeah.
It's so funny. So I had Las Vegas and debauchery.
they have again, and I think that the way that we were doing it with Spirit, well, I guess with the NFL one too, is like, well, with like, is it like, is like owning it culturally, like means that it's capable of like drawing the like analogy. So if you were trying to like speak about something being gross and debaucherous, you could just it's be like, oh, it's like going to Las Vegas, and people would be like, oh, okay.
Well, maybe here's like the best barometer. Like if you threw a house party and you themed it Las Vegas, what would you get?
Yeah.
Spirit Airlines. Like what would you get if you had a
I
I
like Spirit Airlines more. I'm gonna throw a house party that's Spirit Airlines themed. It's like, really, you come, but then as soon as you come, I start charging you to like put your shoes in the charge you for the coat closet or whatever, and then like the lighting is bad and the music is bad. Oh, I like that. That'd be really funny.
So it's like, yeah, you're like your house party version. Okay, so that was my second one.
You have to come through with another nice one after I have this second one that I have. All right. So this one that I have is Pepsi. Pepsi is a brand, and losers. I feel like Pepsi is it's the cultural has owned the cultural currency of being lame, of losing, of just losing period. And it's just like they've always been a shitty clone, right, of the thing that is culturally perceived as good. And like Coke, I mean, again, I don't know if I'll give them this because like they want this to be true of themselves. They want to believe that they have culturally owned the association of happiness, right? And it's like, it's the tagline. I don't remember what the actual tagline is. So they've got all this positivity. They've got the history. They've got the cool logo. It's infinitely recognizable. Pepsi has just roundly like been second place losers the whole entire time. They've had better marketing at numerous points. Like, wasn't there? They had the song, like the little jingle. How did it go? Wasn't about it? No, that's McDonald's.
I don't know.
Dude, it was like a do thing. I don't know. Anyway, who cares? Okay, I've lost it. They had objectively better marketing than Coke frequently throughout, especially throughout my lifetime and all that kind of stuff. But it's always the perception, I think, has always been that it's the second place. It's the loser brand. It's like, why would you drink Pepsi if you could drink Coke? You're a loser.
I actually prefer Pepsi.
Wow.
So I don't know what that
says.
says.
Okay, so you're fucking.
I guess so. Okay, so wait, but you're talking specifically just about the soda brands? Because Pepsi, as like a business, has acquired its way to ascending over Coca-Cola.
Well, yeah, totally. From all the properties that it owns. But I'm talking about just not PepsiCo, just Pepsi, the product and the brand versus the clear thing that exists that is the winner. Pepsi's the loser. From a branding perspective, they've had all these like the like one thing where like when they moved the thing to where like the circle had the like weird angle to it, and it was like a lowercase like thin weight like writing of the word mark and everything, that was like roundly considered to be awful, and everybody made fun of it and thought it looked terrible, and it had this like really hilarious like awful brand book associated with it that had all of these like really, really stupid like assertions about like how they arrived at the shape and like comparing it to the planets and the sun. It was all this stuff, and it was just such loser shit. It was just like, you just are trying so hard to not accept the fact that you are not the best. And again, it's like, if I was thinking about it the same way through like, if I wanted to like compare something or someone to being a loser to someone winning, I would be like, yeah, you're like Pepsi, you know, you just.
So I like your example. I actually have a better one. It's very similar. The same two organizations are involved. It's like Gatorade and Powerade.
Exactly. Yeah. But again, Powerade.
But it's Coke owned Powerade. Powerade is the loser brand versus Gatorade.
Yeah,
Like if you're like a
100%.
professional athlete and you're like,
Sponsored by Powerade.
it's like, yeah, you suck. Like I'm sponsored by Gatorade. It's like, it would be like, okay, so here it is. I think this is, somebody probably won't like this. It's like you're a professional athlete and you're sponsored by Powerade and Under Armour, or you're sponsored by Nike and
I
Gatorade.
know I saw some tweet out there, and I think it might have been from Finn McKenty. Shout out Finn McKenty, Punk Rock NBA or MBA on YouTube and LinkedIn, etc. But he had some tweet once that was just like, imagine being the guy who drinks Pepsi and wears Adidas and like plays, I think Xbox, because Xbox is like the shit, but PlayStation's cool. And like he had a number of other things. And like you're just perpetually in love with like being second place. Like all your favorite things are just number two. And it's just like great.
I mean, and then since we're like going on this like being known for number two, like the more overt one that's like obvious, because like these are all like your consumption choices. So your friends may not know. But when your one friend out of 10 has an Android and it fucks up your chat,
But no, I know, yeah, Android 100% similar. But again, I just don't, there's just something about Pepsi to me that just seems the most loserish. We can sit here and make a whole list of loser brands, but just Pepsi, really?
we just kind of did.
Yeah, we did.
I don't think so.
Pepsi,
Okay, so like,
Adidas.
so this one's slightly more relevant. Okay, so I think the brand Coachella is associated with negative attention-seeking behavior.
They've,
And
oh yeah, 100%.
and the one click down is influencer culture,
Yeah.
just in general. And I'm viewing this as like kind of a negative association because like the way
No, it is 100%. Like most people, I mean, aside from the people who go to Coachella, but probably even people who go to Coachella use Coachella as like it's like an insult. You use it to insult people. Oh, are you going to Coachella? Like,
yeah. So I think that's like that's actually I mean, I don't know if that's what they're seeking to do, but that's
there's
what they've
no
done.
way.
But yeah, in like a very negative connotation. Coachella, like other festivals, like Bottle Rock, whatever, like they've kind of dodged that like super negative, whereas like Coachella is like it feels like it's like an influencer wasteland where
Yeah.
like I've never been personally, but I can only imagine like, have you ever been around a person who is like shooting content for themselves for their channels in an environment where you're just like hanging out as friends?
What are we doing right now?
Have you experienced that?
No, I'm just laughing because we're making content right now.
No, but like we scheduled time to make
That's
content
true. I mean,
together.
no, I don't have any. I don't
Wasn't
have.
like
I never have been friends with somebody who has tried to do that with their lives, basically at all.
I've never been friends, but I've been like, it's like friend to friend, sort of like in a like shared friend environment where that's happening, and it sucks. It's just frankly it's weird, and it kind of ruins the experience. So I just like I haven't been to Coachella, but this is my perception as an outsider from like, we work in marketing, so we see this shit all the time. It's like it seems like that is terrible objectively, and the association between attention-seeking behavior and Coachella is strong. Okay, so this last one is probably very controversial. Costco and gross overconsumption.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Again, I'll give you that one easily. We don't even go to Costco anymore. We don't go there
I don't like it.
in our lives. We don't.
They force you to buy way too much stuff.
That's an
They do.
interesting one because like you can't say that it's like. I guess none of them. Well, actually, so okay. So all right. So on that front, I would say that is not a universally held opinion.
No, but like you go to Costco, you're not going there for one-offs. You're going there to buy a ton of stuff.
Yeah. It's not like universally people, I think, feel that it is gross overconsumption, but maybe the people who don't feel that way aren't concerned about overconsumption in the first place, right? But yeah, if that is a concern of yours, which it is of mine in my life, Costco feels gross. I stopped having a justification for purchasing stuff. So I was like, I don't need the, like, what am I doing?
Yeah. I mean, so many people do it. We got to go. But most important question, I guess.
Who's going to watch this? Hopefully no one. Stop. Actually, if you're watching this, stop watching this. You're
Stop right
part
now.
of the problem.
Stop, because this is the end.